Hey y'all, it's Cat in the Box, and I'm here for Cat's Book Corner, where I review some of my favorite books, and you tell me what you think of them. So, here we go. Well, since I started my YouTube channel because of the Vlog Brothers, I decided to do my first book on Looking for Alaska by John Green. Here it is right here. You can't see it, but it's there because it's on the Nook. So, Looking for Alaska by John Green. Frankly, it's one of the best books I've ever read. Like, you can't believe how good this book is. I've never met a writer that is so good with words and makes you feel such emotions. Like, I rank it right up there with Harry Potter. You have no idea how much I love John Green and his books. So, let me tell you what's it about. Well, Looking for Alaska is about this guy named Miles, who goes out into the world looking for the great perhaps, which is just, you can't even describe what the great perhaps is. But he goes out in the world looking for the great perhaps, and he goes to Culver Creek, where he meets this amazing girl named Alaska. She is everything Miles is not. She loves to drink, she's a wild partier. She doesn't give a crap about everything, and she like completes him, and she teaches him how to go about his great perhaps. And they have all these wacky adventures with him and his friends, but when tragedy strikes in Culver Creek, Alaska also teaches Miles to question everything. He questions Culver Creek, he questions his friends, he questions Alaska, and most importantly, he questions himself about who he really is and what his life is about. And she even makes him question life itself. So that's Looking for Alaska, about a boy named Miles and the girl he loves named Alaska. So usually when I do these things, I usually read the first page of the book because that's usually the hook that drives the book. It's what makes you want to read it. But the best part in Looking at Alaska is the ending monologue. So I'm going to read that instead. So here we go. Okay. I still think that maybe the afterlife is just something we made up to ease the pain of loss, to make our time in the labyrinth bearable. Maybe she was just matter, and matter gets recycled. But ultimately, I do not believe that she was only matter. The rest of her must be recycled too. I believe now that we are greater than the sum of our parts. If you take Alaska's genetic code and you add her life experiences and the relationships she had with people, and then you take the size and shape of her body, you do not get her. There is something else entirely. There is a part of her greater than the sum of her knowable parts, and that part has to go somewhere, because it cannot be destroyed. Although no one will ever accuse me of being much of a science student, one thing I learned from science classes is that energy is never created and never destroyed. And if forgetting her mother, failing her mother and her friends and herself, those are awful things. But she did not need to fold into herself and self-destruct. Those awful things are survivable, because we are as indestructible as we believe ourselves to be. When adults say teenagers think they are invincible, with that sly, stupid smile on their faces, they don't know how right they are. We need never be hopeless, because we can never be irreparably broken. We think that we are invincible, because we are. We cannot be born, and we cannot die. Like all energy, we can only change shapes and sizes and manifestations. They forget that when they get old. They get scared of losing and failing. But that part of us greater than the sum of our parts cannot begin and cannot end, and so it cannot fail. So I know she forgives me, just as I forgive her. Thomas Edison's last words were, "It's very beautiful over there." I don't know where there is, but I believe it's somewhere, and I hope it's beautiful. That's Looking for Alaska. I give it 5 cats out of 5. So read it. It's a really, really good book, and you should read anything John Green has written. Bye, y'all. Cat in the Box out.